Thank you. So repeat there. Repeat.
Drama. I pay me Castellina Pamela Majodina. I swear that I will be faithful to the Republic of South Africa and will obey and respect and uphold the Constitution and all other law of the Republic. And I undertake to hold my office as the minister with honor and dignity, to be a true and faithful counselor, not to divulge directly or indirectly any secret matter entrusted to me, and to perform the functions of my office conscientiously, okay, and the best of my ability. Conscientiously.
We'll get it right. We'll get it right.
I guess we'll
get it right. Conscientiously.
Conscientiously.
Yes.
Conscientiously.
Yes. Thank you. Congratulations, Minister.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
That we are in control of serious things like rivers, waters, dams. So clouds are gathering, 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 tata, clouds are gathering, clouds are gathering, clouds are gathering. It's raining, it's raining, it's raining, it's raining, it's raining. Thunder! Thunder! That's all, okay.
In addition to crime, water is now the single most important issue for many people in our country, from large cities like Johannesburg to smaller towns like Knysna and rural areas like Giyani. We have all seen the pain that our people have been expressing through demonstrations in various parts of Gauteng. Now, these protests have been fueled by the frustrations that our people are feeling over inadequate, unreliable access to basic services such as water. I have directed the Minister of Water and Sanitation and her deputy, as well as the Minister of Cooperative Governance, to attend to the water shortage problem and engage with our communities. This comes from poor planning, inadequate maintenance of water systems by many of our municipalities, and the main cause of the problems are now the reason why we are now having empty taps. However, the real challenge lies not in the availability of water, but in getting water to people's taps. The Water Services Amendment Act, or bill, will enable us to hold water service providers accountable for their performance, and if they don't perform, to be able to withdraw their licenses.
Listen to me, South Africa. You saw it, didn't you? The video of the Minister of Water and Sanitation, Pemi Majodina, standing at a podium, struggling to pronounce the word conscientiously. And I'm not talking about a simple stumble. We all have those moments. No, this was a painful, meandering journey through a word that any high school student could manage. She fumbled, she faltered, she laughed it off with a lack of seriousness that would be funny if it weren't so utterly terrifying. Chief Justice Raymond Zondo had to explain that she'd requested the oath in her home language, but it wasn't available, so English it would have to be. And as she struggled, She turned to her home language and said, "This is drama." And the entire parliamentary chamber erupted in laughter, including the president. But here's the thing that cuts deeper than any mispronunciation. And I need you to really understand this. The word she couldn't say, conscientiously, is not just some fancy English word they throw around in Parliament to sound important. It is the very word that binds her to her duty. The oath she was taking demands that she perform the functions of her office conscientiously. It means to do her job with diligence, with attention to detail, with moral conviction, with a commitment to excellence that transcends politics and personal comfort. It means that the people of South Africa can trust her to put their needs above her own, and she couldn't even pronounce it. It's not about being perfect in English. South Africa has 11 official languages, and no one expects everyone to be a Shakespearean scholar. She asked for her home language, and it wasn't provided. That failure is on the system, yes, but when you stand before a nation about to take charge of a department that is literally responsible for keeping people alive, and you cannot speak the words that define your obligation, and more importantly, when you laugh it off as drama instead of recognizing the gravity of the moment, it is a metaphor so perfect, so damning, that it should haunt every single one of us. Imagine a pilot who cannot pronounce emergency landing. Imagine a surgeon who stumbles over sterile procedure. Imagine a soldier who doesn't understand the words "defend the Constitution." We would never allow it. We would say, this person is not fit for the job. And yet, Phemi Majodina stood there, laughing, while the President of the Republic sat a few feet away also laughing, as if the entire scene was a joke. But it's not a joke to the people of Merifong, who have gone almost a year without water. It's not a joke to the residents of Pretoria, who watch 40% of their water vanish into leaking pipes. It's not a joke to the communities who have been promised delivery for 30 years and have received only excuses. And then there was the other video, the one that should have made us all weep. There she was, Minister Majodina, clapping her hands, chanting, looking up at the sky, and calling on the clouds to bring rain. The Rain Queen, they called her, some with amusement, some with a despair so deep it had nowhere else to go. Think about that for a moment. In a country with a sophisticated system of dams, pipelines, and treatment plants, a system built by the hands of South Africans, white and black, who knew how to engineer solutions, our national leader on water is asking the clouds for help. It's not charming, it's not cultural, it's a neon sign flashing the words, "Incompetence lives here." This is the home of incompetence at the national level. And let me be clear, this isn't about attacking one person. Phemi Majodina is a symptom, a symbol of a disease that has been festering in our government for decades. Even she herself admitted, in a moment of rare honesty, that the decline in water services has been caused by underinvestment in maintenance and renewal of infrastructure and a lack of appointments of staff with the required qualifications. She said the national average for reliability has declined to 68%, that non-revenue water sits at a staggering 48%, and that water quality is deteriorating in about 60% of water supply systems. She knows the problem. She just can't fix it. And she couldn't pronounce the word that required her to try. This is about the African National Congress, the party that has governed this nation into the ground, turning what was once the first world beacon of the African continent into what can only be described as a place where more than 1.1 million households still have no access to clean drinking water. The Eastern Cape alone accounts for over 340,000 of those households, and if those numbers don't move you, let me break it down further. In Mpumalanga, it's a staggering 66.2% of households reporting disruptions. In the Northern Cape, 58%. While in the Western Cape, where governance has been different, it's only 5.6%. Those numbers are not about rain, they are about management. President Ramaphosa stood up at the 2026 State of the Nation address and told us, point blank that the water crisis is not about a lack of water. He said it. The President of the Republic admitted that the empty taps are a direct consequence of poor planning, inadequate maintenance, and systemic failures, and many years of neglecting infrastructure. He pointed the finger at ministers, at municipal managers, at the very structure of his own government. He told us that water revenue meant for fixing pipes is being used for other purposes, a polite way of saying it's being stolen, squandered, and misallocated while the infrastructure rots. And the numbers back him up. The municipal debt owed to water boards has ballooned to a jaw-dropping 25.4 billion rand as of September 2025. Let me say that again, 25.4 billion rand. Rand Water alone is owed 8.67 billion rand. Merafong local municipality on the West Rand is 1.6 billion rand in debt to Rand Water, with 2 reservoirs completely empty and average water levels sitting at only 35%. The Blybank Reservoir, 0%. One Fotville Reservoir, 0%. The 007 Reservoir in Carltonville has been out of operation for years due to sinkholes, and rehabilitation that was supposed to be completed in 2024 has now been postponed to June 2026. The Auditor General has issued qualified audit opinions, confirming these municipalities are effectively bankrupt. Do you understand the magnitude of this? This is money that should be flowing into maintenance, into repairs, into upgrading the systems that keep water flowing to our homes. Instead, it's sitting on the books as unpaid debt, while municipalities cry poverty. In Kokosi, Merafong, residents faced the risk of contracting waterborne diseases while collecting water from dirty roadside drains and other contaminated sources. This was a daily routine shared with hundreds of communities around the country. And where is the money going? In Pretoria, spending on water tankers, those emergency trucks we see parked on street corners, increased by 455% in the 2025 financial year, from 140 million rand to a staggering 777 million rand. 455%. The DA has called for an investigation, noting that this emergency supply of water to formalized areas is now the single biggest operational expenditure item of the city's Department of Water and Sanitation, even surpassing capital spending on pipe replacements. We are paying for a water tanker economy, a parasitic industry where a so-called water mafia profits from the crisis. They break the system, we pay for tankers, they get rich. It's a scam, and we are the victims. In the same year as this blowout spending on water tankers, the city's water losses increased from 34% to 39%. The losses are mainly due to unattended leaks, which in turn lead to taps running dry more often. What accounts for more leaks? In part, the money taken away from water maintenance teams in order to fund extra water tanker expenditure. In her first adjustment budget as mayor, Nasipi Moya recommended a 103% increase on watchman security services and a 64% increase on water tankers. But even this wasn't enough to cover all the invoices, meaning most of this money will have to be classified as unauthorized expenditure. And as the DA pointed out, after years of suspicion that the ANC and its proxy parties have interests in the water tanker business, it is now necessary to trace the flow of municipal money to and from the companies on Pretoria's database of service providers. Let's talk about KwaZulu-Natal, because this is where the rot truly stinks. The Tukela Goda-True Transfer Scheme, a vital water infrastructure project intended to prevent the Richards Bay area from running out of water, saw its cost balloon from 407 million rand to 646.5 million rand. Why? Irregular expenditure. The Special Investigating Unit found that senior officials bypassed the competitive bidding system, ignored financial controls, and caused losses totaling 429 million rand. The special tribunal found that the procurement process violated Section 217 of the Constitution, which requires public procurement to be fair, equitable, transparent, competitive, and cost-effective. The acting Director General approved the appointment despite clear procedural irregularities, and the Chief Financial Officer signed off on submissions despite being aware of the problems. That's nearly R500 million gone. Stolen from the people, stolen from the future. And what has been done about it? For years, nothing, absolutely nothing. The SIU has welcomed the special tribunal ruling, and the company has been ordered to provide audited financial statements and may have to repay profits. But the officials who caused this? The SIU says they failed to discharge their legislative responsibilities and directly contributed to unlawful procurement, irregular expenditure, and the undermining of constitutional procurement principles. And yet, where are the criminal charges? Where is the accountability? President Ramaphosa now says he will lay criminal charges against municipal managers in their personal capacity for violating the National Water Act. He announced a National Water Crisis Committee that he will personally chair. But tell me, how many task teams have we seen? Since 2023, there have been at least three government task teams established to fix Johannesburg's water. They came, they reported, they left, and the water got worse. A presidential water task team was set up in March 2024, and by 2026 the system was collapsing. This is not a failure of planning. This is a failure of will. It is a failure of consequence. When you allow incompetence to go unpunished, you breed more incompetence. When you watch officials steal and do nothing, you train them to steal more. And when you put someone like Phemi Majodina in charge of water, a woman who cannot pronounce the word that defines her duty, who laughs off her oath as drama, who thinks chanting for rain is a viable strategy, while 48% of our water is lost to leaks and over 1 million households have no access to clean water, you send a clear message to every hard-working, skilled, capable person in this country, especially the minority communities, the white South Africans who have been systematically pushed out, vilified and marginalized, that merit does not matter. Loyalty to the party matters. Being a loyal cadre matters. Getting things done? That's optional. I am not here to pretend the past was perfect, but we cannot fix the future by burning the present to the ground. We cannot build a nation by destroying the very skills and expertise that made it great. South Africa used to be the first world hub of this continent. We built nuclear plants. We designed world-class hospitals. We created a water system that was the envy of the developing world. And now? Now we have a minister calling for rain while the Vaal Dam sits at over 100% capacity. It exceeded 120% in April 2025, prompting the opening of more than 10 sluice gates. And yet, people in Johannesburg have no water because the systems to distribute it have collapsed. President Ramaphosa says, the water crisis is a man-made problem. He's right. It is a man-made problem, created by the men and women of the ANC who have governed this country into the dirt. And if we do not hold them accountable, if we do not rise up and demand that competence matters, that honesty matters, that the lives of over 60 million people matter more than the jobs of a few useless politicians, then the taps will run dry forever. This is not a political game. This is life and death. This is the future of our children. This is the soul of our nation. So here is my call to you, my fellow South Africans, black, white, colored, Indian, all of us. Do not look away. Do not accept this. Share this video. Share it until every corner of this country has seen it. Let them know that we are watching. Let them know that we will not be pacified by task teams and empty promises. Let them know that we demand leaders who can pronounce conscientiously and who understand that water comes from pipes and pumps, not from clouds, and that the oath they take binds them to serve us, not to laugh at the drama of it all while we suffer. If you believe in a South Africa that works for everyone, if you are tired of the excuses and the theft and the incompetence, then hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, join our membership. Your support helps us keep telling these stories the mainstream media is too afraid to touch. Use the super thanks button. Every rand helps us investigate and bring you the truth, because the truth is all we have left. And the truth is, South Africa is bleeding, and the people we trusted to stop the bleeding are the ones holding the knife. Comment below. Tell me your story. Tell me how long you've been without water. Tell me what you've seen. Let's build a movement of accountability, one voice at a time. God bless South Africa, and God help us if we stay silent conscientiously.